Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. This is year 2 at Hogwarts. This is the world building review. So instead of doing a normal book review, this will focus on the universe and the setting and the magical rules, all kinds of the cool interactions between characters, what they can and can't do, just neat things that I came across when rereading the Harry Potter series. So, chapter 1 is called The Worst Birthday. Um, Harry is stuck in with the Dursleys, right? His cousins or relatives, and he is not allowed to use magic. So, I'm not sure who says it, but somebody says not a magical blood, drop of magical blood in any of them. And the first thing that I thought of was midichlorians from Star Wars prequels, but I think what they mean is the bloodline, as in like, from, the ancestors. But to me, that was just the first thing I thought of. Kind of silly, kind of fun. But I also liked the characterization. Harry is treated almost like a house elf, and then he eventually meets a house elf in Dobby. So the chapter 2 is Dobby's warning, and house elves do speak English. They are a race of magical being in the Harry Potter universe, and they can speak English, and they are bound to one family forever. So they call it houses in Harry Potter, right? One family house. And Dobby doesn't need a wand to do magic. So that was, I think, the first we've seen of that in the Harry Potter series, and it's really interesting that it's almost like a different style of magic. So very cool. Also, we find out that the Ministry of Magic can detect underage magic. So in this case, it's in proximity or in the home where an underage wizard lives. So even though Dobby is the one, it's still, anyways, you get the idea. You know how the story goes. And then at the end, the Weasleys show up in a flying car to rescue Harry. So that leads to chapter 3, which is the burrow. So they use the flying car to get from Harry's cousin's house, the Dursleys, all the way to the burrow. And it is a magical flying car. We don't know how it works. Arthur Weasley, the head of the Weasley house, he works on magical artifacts or muggle artifacts. So he took apart the car, enchanted it, and now it flies. When they do arrive at the burrow, there is a radio singer. So that was kind of a tie into the real world, right? Like everybody knows what a radio is, or at least has heard someone sing. So that would be an easy, relatable thing to know. So the radio singer there. There's also the garden gnomes. They have to de-gnome the garden, and they walk and talk, and they kind of twirl them and fling them. That was a neat little action item there that they had to do. Also, they talk about the older Weasley boys and what they do with their life after Hogwarts, right? You go to school, right? Then you get a career. So what are your options? There were talk of dragons and Gringotts, and becoming a teacher at Hogwarts potentially is an option, and even Minister of Magic. And of course, Arthur Weasley works at the Ministry of Magic, so you could be in the government as well. So there was a couple of different things that they talked about, but it's still early on, right? Year 2, they don't have to worry about that for like another 4 years. But the next chapter, they end up going to get their books, and the chapter 4 is Flourish and Blots. So they're at the store, and the Lockhart, the celebrity culture, right? He's giving out autographs, everybody's in line, and to me that was really cool in that that's really relatable, right? In the real world, there's celebrity culture, everybody wants an autograph, all that good stuff. So that was pretty neat. And also, they mentioned a ghoul. I don't know if that's like a poltergeist or a ghost, but they didn't really go into detail. So possibly another magical creature out there. Also used the fireplace flu network to travel. This was a really neat, dynamic, really inventive way of travel, and I really like it. It is monitored by the Ministry of Magic, as we later find out, and you toss a little bit of flu powder into the fireplace, say where you want to go very clearly, and then you spin around and fly up through the chimney. And hopefully that house that you're going to has a chimney, and hopefully it is open. So that was a really creative mode of travel. The last thing in that chapter that stood out to me was the Daily Prophet newspaper brought by owls. At the time when this book series came out, newspapers were still a big thing, and they still exist currently in 2021. However, it's not as popular as digital copies, but the Daily Prophet does also have photos in it, and those photos move. We have something similar in 2021 in live photos, but this is explicitly like an actual, like they are like the person can move in and out of the photo. So not quite the same thing, but they seem alive in a newspaper photo in the Harry Potter wizarding world. So that brings us to chapter 5. Dobby seals the train, preventing Harry and Ron from getting on the Hogwarts Express. And chapter 5 is called The Whomping Willow. So the King's Cross station is invisible to all muggles, non-magical people. And it was mentioned in the last book, in the first book, but it's explicitly stated here, and I kind of like it. But at the same time, it's kind of mysterious, unsure how that plays out. But there are wizards who apparate. I think that's how it's said. But either way, you kind of turn in place and keep your destination in mind. So kind of like the Flu Network, but without the fireplace. You just kind of go to your destination. There is a downside. You can get splinched, so it's not like teleportation or anything, but it is like jumping a distance with very little cost, apparently. But yep, so Ron and Harry get locked out of the station to get on the train, and so they end up grabbing the car and flying to school. So they end up in the Whomping Willow, and the Whomping Willow, we find out, is alive, or at least has enough movement to smash them. A lot more movement than a regular tree. So we also find out that they're rare from the Hogwarts staff. And yeah, that is that. This was chapters 1 through 5, Harry Potter Year 2 and the Chamber of Secrets World Building Review.